My wife called out my sister's toxic boyfriend. Now the family is falling apart.
That's right. It's just,
This is a throwaway account as I have work colleagues on my main that I don't want to know about my family drama, and spelling will be rubbish as I'm fuming right now. Obligatory all names have been changed. So for the backstory, I, 36 female, am married to the love of my life, 36 female K. We met when we were 17. She was out and proud whilst I was still in the closet, so we didn't start dating until I came out at 21. We got married in 2019 and have an adopted 4-year-old son. This is relevant in a minute. By the way, this comes from throwaway annoying brother-in-law on the OK Storytime subreddit. So my sister, 27 female, Sarah, has a long-term boyfriend, 28 male, Steve, who the family cannot stand. They've been together for 8 years and the whole family has hated him from the first time we met him. He is rude, obnoxious, arrogant, and all in all, a crappy human being. He is also someone that likes to claim that he's just being honest, but if someone is honest back to him, he flips out and sulks like a toddler. In fact, my toddler is better behaved than him. He isn't abusive to Sarah and doesn't direct these comments towards her. It's just the rest of us. He's actually a good partner to her and treats her well, which is his one redeeming quality. My dad and Kay hate him the most and will do anything to avoid him at family gatherings. Kay usually just ignores him and brushes off anything he says to her as she doesn't like conflict. However, there have been a few occasions that she has said something back, but it's usually said in a joking manner, which amuses my dad to no end. My mom is a peacekeeper and will do anything to avoid drama, so she just changes the topic whenever he starts, but she and my grandparents all hate him just as much as the rest of us. Sarah is the only one that obviously doesn't hate him. Our son's birth mother, Tess, was Kay's best friend, who sadly passed away in 2021. Ugh. This was a real shock as she had an underlying heart condition that she didn't know about and simply went to sleep one night and never woke up. Jack had been left alone in his cot all day screaming for his mom before Kay got worried that Tess wasn't answering her texts and went to their house to see if she was okay. That is awful. She found Jack in his cot and Tess in her bed. Wow. We adopted Jack as no one in Tess's family was in a position to take him in. We raise him as our own, but he knows who Tess is. Obviously, this is a very sensitive topic for Kay as it was so traumatic for her and Jack. Now, on to what happened last weekend. It was the anniversary of Tess's passing away on Saturday, so Kay, Jack, and I went to visit her grave. Kay is always quiet after going to see her, and this time of year is especially hard for her. On Sunday, we had a family gathering at my parents' house. These happen every couple of months as just a catch-up for everyone. At first, nothing was out of the ordinary. Kay and my dad were off to the side talking as usual. Only I could see that Kay was obviously struggling, so my dad and her went for a walk so she could clear her head. This is something they have done before, so nothing too unusual. However, Steve had an issue with this and asked why they had left and why he wasn't invited to walk with them. Because you're not. Because you're freaking not.
That's all there is to it.
I explained about Tess and Kate just needed a minute. This wasn't good enough for Steve though. And he said she should have gotten over it by now.
Oh man. It's always the wrong thing to say.
At this, my granddad, who is naturally a very quiet guy, said that his best friend had passed over 20 years ago and he still had days where he missed him so much it hurt. Ugh.
Aww.
You don't just get over something like that. Steve, shut up after that. Good. Kay and my dad got back and she was in a much better mood. We all sat down at the table for our late lunch and started chatting. Everything was fine at first until Steve started trying to butt into Kay's conversation with my granddad. When it was obvious that they weren't going to include him, he very loudly stated, "This is BS. She's getting all the attention from everyone because her friend passed 3 effing years ago. Get over it for F's sake. We're all sick of hearing about it."
Oh my God.
I'm punching him. I'm throwing hands. You're a terrible person.
Yeah.
Steve, you are Satan's spawn. The whole table went silent and I took one look at Kay and knew she was about to go off on Steve. Only it didn't happen the way I thought. Rather than exploding at him, she looked at him very calmly and said that her and Granddad weren't talking about Tess. They were making plans to take him to the Christmas markets, but if he wanted to be a wiener, then no problem. She then went on to say to him that everyone in the family hates him because he's a toxic, narcissistic F-wad. That whenever he can't come to a family gathering, the whole family is much happier. That there is a reason he has no friends and that his own family can't stand to be around him. That reason is that he's rotten from the inside out and that Tess may have only been on the planet for 32 years, but she had made a bigger impact on people than he would if he lived until he was 150. that her family was rammed with people because she was so loved, whereas he'd be lucky if anyone other than Sarah went to his. Whoa. Just obliterated him.
Yeah, that was
And she said all that calmly.
Yeah.
She freaking nailed that.
Dude.
What a response. What a response.
Amazing.
No notes.
She's my hero.
She's my hero.
No notes.
She's both of our heroes.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Wow. Wow.
Stellar performance.
Incredible.
Love that.
Incredible.
So does she actually say that to him, or is that just what they were thinking?
No, she said that.
Amazing.
After that, she got up and went to the back garden, and I followed her. A few minutes later, my dad came out and said that he'd told Sarah and Steve to leave. We went back inside, and Kay apologized to everyone and said she should have just kept her mouth shut. No, girl. No.
Nah.
He needed to hear it. Everyone other than my mom told her what she had done was right, and it was about time someone told him. My dad then found it hilarious that a lesbian had been the one to tell him straight, which lightened the mood a lot.
That's funny.
We spent the rest of the afternoon there before going to pick up Jack from Kay's mom's house, as she had him overnight on Saturday for us. The reason I'm making this post is that yesterday I got a call from Sarah saying that her and Steve wanted an apology from Kay or they weren't going to Christmas. Oh no, they're not going to Christmas?
What if you
What are we gonna do?
Yeah. It's like, well, then now I'm not gonna apologize because I don't
I'm
want you
definitely
at
not going to
Christmas.
apologize.
There you go.
When I reminded her that we wouldn't be at Christmas either, as it is our year to spend it with Kay's mom, so it made no difference to us, she got really upset, saying that she wanted an apology because Kay was way out of line. I said she wasn't, and that I wouldn't even contemplate asking her to apologize because I agreed with everything she said, and so did everyone else there. She ended the call, and I just went back to work. Then today, my dad called me and asked if Kay's mom would mind a few more for Christmas, as he was refusing to spend it with Steve, so he and my granddad needed somewhere else to go. Apparently, after Sarah had called me, she called mom and started ranting, and my mom had told my dad to get Kay to apologize, which he said no to. And they had an argument, and my dad has now decided that he's done with Steve, even if it affects his relationship with Sarah. He's not having it anymore. My mom wants Sarah there, and she won't go without Steve, so my dad is going somewhere else, and my granddad agreed with him. I text Kay's mom, and she said they were welcome. So now my mom is furious and said that my dad and Kay are ripping the family apart. Or maybe Steve just freaking sucks.
Yeah. Boo.
You thought about that?
Is it okay though that this part of the family gets ripped out of it?
Yeah.
I feel like
Are we really losing
that's
anyone?
okay.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, this has turned into a crap show. Kay has said she will apologize if I want to, just to keep the peace, but I've told her no way. Everything she said was true. I just don't know where to go from here. And the people in my life all hate Steve that much that Kay could have physically attacked him, and they would all still think she's in the right. So that's why I'm asking internet strangers who might have had to deal with difficult family members, what can we do to get into a place where we can be around each other amicably? I'm struggling to see a way right now. Wow. Didn't realize how long this got until I went to post it. Sorry about that. And there are some comments and an update, but what do you think OP can do?
Just to remind me, is there any other issues with is the other family saying anything about
The mom is.
the mom?
Mom, Sarah, and Steve. And that's it. Everyone else is on OP's side.
I feel like, they'll survive.
Yeah.
They'll survive because he did say very out of pocket things about grieving,
Yeah.
And so I feel like
And no one else likes him.
exactly.
Honestly, I think it might sort itself out because if everyone else in the family besides your mom
Yeah.
is against them, then you guys just keep having Christmas parties.
Yeah.
And then eventually Steve and Sarah are going to be like, well, it's not fair that we're not invited.
Right. And,
And
then
then
they'll
they're
just
gonna-
want to come anyway.
Yeah.
And honestly too, I wonder if the mom partially is just on
I think
the
she's
other
trying
side,
to keep
just,
the peace.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, just trying to keep the peace. So it's she probably does agree with OP. It's it's not
It's
bad.
just we're
but
family.
we want everyone together. Yeah. So it's
I think it'll work it out.
that you're right.
Yeah. Stand your ground.
Exactly.
And
The
then
people
everything will happen the way it's
right.
supposed
The
to.
people who are wrong will, just get what they get. And
They get what they get.
glad that everyone else agrees with you. So
Yeah.
you're good.
Some of OP's comments. One commenter says, for things to be peaceful, both parties need to want it. Kay did nothing wrong. I wouldn't ever spend another moment with Steve. I would let Sarah know I love her and will see her anytime, anywhere, but I'll never see Steve again. If you have one guest that basically wants to crap on the holiday table, there is no path forward with them. OP responds, if it was just Sarah upset, then I wouldn't care. But it's my mom. She tries so hard to keep the whole family together, and she's devastated by what's going on. If it wasn't for her, then Sarah could take a running jump for all I care right now. And then Sarah. This is the issue that Steve and Sarah don't see anything wrong in what he's done. It was just him being honest. I would be happier for her to apologize if Steve and Sarah admitted that what he said was in the wrong as well. Without that, I'm being stubborn about it, as you should.
Yeah.
My dad told Kay he will fall out with her if she apologizes as she did nothing wrong. Good on the dad. There was no screaming or shouting. She said it very calmly. I feel like I'm stuck between making my mom happy and doing what I believe to be right. You should always be doing what you believe to be right.
Exactly.
And things will be, things will happen the way they're supposed to.
Right.
To another commenter, Opie says, my sister doesn't see anything wrong in what he says as he's just being honest, but loses it when someone is honest back. I don't understand her anymore. Opie says about her mom, take the high road and rise above it has been two of my mom's favorite things to say over the years. I just feel like enough is enough. He crossed a line this time that he can't come back from. I especially don't want my son around him when he's saying things like that about Tess. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To another commenter, Opie says, if I hear my mom say, take the high road one more time, I'm going to scream. I'm sick of the high road. I've been on it for 8 years. I'm happy on the low road now. And then later that day, Opie says, well, I've just found out that my granny and pa, my mom's parents, are going to my uncle's for Christmas, and Steve's not invited. So it looks like it's just going to be my mom, Sarah, and Steve for Christmas this year. How OP feels about that? Vindicated, as my mom is like her parents. They're all peacekeepers. And if ever they have had enough, then it shows that he's not just stepped over the line, he ran right past it. And then OP continues, Kay's mom has already told her that if she changes her mind, if the mom changes her mind, then she is welcome at her house. Even if it's Christmas morning, she's more than welcome. Obviously, Steve and Sarah aren't invited at all, but it's good that my mom has an option at the least. Later reflection, Opie says, I have realized that he's been trying to target Kay and my dad's relationship as they're very close. I think that was pretty apparent because he was like, oh, I can't go on the walk.
Right.
Like he's trying to like infiltrate it and get what Kay has.
Yeah.
But you have to be cool and a good person.
Yeah.
And it seems like you're neither.
The people have to want you around.
Yeah. To have a relationship with a person's father, they have to like you a little bit.
Just a little. At least.
They have traveled all over the country visiting class car shows together, which Steve has tried to get in on, but he doesn't know anything about cars, so there's no point in him going, even if they did like him. I actually think he's been trying to push Kay and I out of the family so that he gets my dad to himself, even though my dad can't stand him. Update 8 days later. Hi, I know how much this community loves an update, so I thought I would give you one as things seem to be sorting themselves out. After I wrote my last post, a few things happened in the next couple of hours. First thing was that I spoke to my grandparents on my mom's side. They were there when this all happened, but they're like my mom and just constantly try to keep the peace. That's where she gets it from. They were supposed to be spending Christmas with my mom this year, but had changed their minds and decided to spend it with my uncle instead. They have made the decision to not be around Steve either, as he causes too much drama. They asked if they could come and see us and Jack on the 23rd before they head off to my uncle's, which I happily agreed. Lovely. This really surprised me, and it outright shocked my mom, as like I said, they are the biggest take the high road type people I've ever met, but even they'd had enough. The next thing that happened was my dad called to let me know that Steve and Sarah had now decided that they wanted Kay to make a public apology in front of the whole family and admit she was lying and that the family loves Steve.
What?
She can't.
What?
No. Like, you have no leverage is the thing.
Yeah.
You've got no leverage.
Right.
No one likes you. He was laughing as he told me this and called them delusional, so any small chance of a superficial apology went out the window. The third thing that happened was Jack getting home from after school club with a recorder that I am sorely tempted to shove up the teacher's backside. So all in all, it wasn't a great day. I remember the recorder part of my elementary school career.
Oh yeah.
My mom hated that thing. She hated it. I don't think any parents like to.
Yeah, no.
Like a bunch of kids not playing the recorder who don't know how to play the recorder.
Right. Yeah, no, I live like right across the street from an elementary school,
Yeah.
and like, you know, the school I went to, and like everyone in my neighborhood was like kids around the same age, and so like every year it'd be like, oh, that person has to play
It's
violin.
the recorder.
That person has to play recorder. It's just like
Yeah. It was
like, all
always
these
like that.
squeaking. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Though through talking to people on here, I also realized that Steve has been trying to push Kay and I out of the family. Organizing trips that he knows we wouldn't have gone on them anyway, as a weekend away with him sounds worse than a paper cut to the eyeball. And him constantly trying to get my dad away from Kay whenever we were all together. I think this is because he is jealous of Kay and my dad's relationship. Anyway, things went quiet for a few days until the weekend. Our town has a big Christmas fair that runs from November through December, and we always go to it with mom, dad, granddad, and Kay's mom. We decided to cheer my mom up a bit to go on Sunday and then out for a dinner after. My mom was told that if Sarah or Steve showed up, then we would all leave, and she promised they wouldn't be there. Things were a bit awkward at first, but settled after a while. At one point, Jack got my mom and dad to take him on the giant snow slide, and as my mom walked back over to us, she had tears in her eyes. I pulled her to one side to see what was going on, and she said that whilst waiting in line, Jack had said he was happy Uncle Steve wasn't here. When my mom asked why, he said that Uncle Steve was a bad man. My mom tried to say that he wasn't, but in typical stubborn 4-year-old fashion, he had argued and said he learned in school that people who say mean things all the time are bad people. And Uncle Steve said mean things all the time, so he was a bad man and that
Whoa.
he didn't like him. Based. Based. How you gonna argue with that?
Dang.
Mom?
Yeah.
There had been a case of bullying in his class a few weeks ago, and the teacher had done a lesson on how wrong bullying is, so I think that's where this came from. This finally broke through to my mom. If even a 4-year-old can see what a horrible prick the man is, then she had to as well. She said that she felt stuck because she hated Steve. She's like, I didn't know what to tell you. I hate him. I hate him so much, but I was trying to keep the peace. And agreed with everything that Kay had said, but she loves Sarah and doesn't want to isolate her. I told her I would always be there for her, but I wasn't putting myself, Jack, or Kay through being around Steve again, and she needed to think about what she wants. Not what I want, or Dad, or Kay, or Jack, or her parents, or Sarah, or Steve, but what she wants. She went quiet and then said that Kay's mom had told her she was welcome at hers for Christmas if she wanted to, and that she could decide on Christmas Day if she wanted. Kay's mom would save her a plate. This is lovely.
Yeah.
This is going well. And we went back to the group, and a little while later, I saw Mum and Kay's mom having a deep discussion whilst walking behind us. Neither will say what they talked about, but Mum seemed a bit happier after their talk. They have also been talking since, as yesterday my mom told me that she will be coming to Kay's mom's for Christmas, and they've been talking about going shopping together next week. When Mum told Sarah after calling me, Sarah predictably lost her mind and said that Mum was choosing us over her. My mom told her she was choosing to have a good Christmas rather than being belittled and made miserable, all for the sake of Steve and his so-called honesty. Sarah then called me and asked if I was happy that I'd won. She then did the unforgivable, and used a few homophobic slurs towards me and Kay, called Jack the B word of a or. I ended the call, blocked her everywhere, and then let my family know what had happened and that I never wanted to speak to her again. They're all as appalled as I am, and my Ganny, Mum's mom, called Sarah and apparently told her that she was passed away to her and she wouldn't have a bigot in the family.
Wow.
Props to the family for standing on business.
Yeah.
They're like, you never can talk to us again.
Right. There's so many stories where it's like the family is like, well,
she's family.
they're old,
you know,
they're family,
yeah.
but this one is like, girl,
get out.
Get out of
Yeah,
here.
you're not welcome at Christmas because you're the Grinch and you don't even have a nice little redemption arc.
Exactly.
Your heart's shrinking. Sarah had been trying to reach out to apologize because she knows she has stepped over the unforgivable line, but I've just kept blocking the fake accounts that she's making on Instagram. Steve tried reaching out to my dad after this, and when he eventually answered, Steve tried to say that Sarah was just angry and didn't mean it. I don't care. I don't care. Even if you're angry, using slurs is never excusable.
Yeah, like, what do you mean you
because
didn't
that
mean
means
it?
that you've thought that, you know?
Yeah.
You don't just use slurs willy-nilly.
Right.
You've had to have used them before.
Right. Or at least have like the mindset where like, you know, or where you think that like it's not that serious or something like that, or that's an okay thing to say. Like you can't like do something like that and then just say like, oh, but I didn't mean it.
Yeah, no.
I just like,
Can't take that back.
yeah. Yeah.
According to my mom, and dad ended up giving him a verbal lashing and told him that he was the worst thing that had ever happened to Sarah and our family. My dad has told Sarah he is disgusted with her, but will be there for her if she leaves Steve. Until then, good luck. Mom has gone low contact as well, but wants to keep the door open so that Sarah isn't completely isolated. I had a few people saying that Steve may be abusive towards Sarah, but I really don't think he is. He usually acts like a wiener when the attention isn't on him. He knows that when he says wienerish things, then all the attention is on him and he revels in it. He's a troll. After Sarah's outburst, I just think they're both toxic and feed off each other's toxicity. She lets him get away with the things he says because she gets pleasure out of watching us all bite our tongues and keep quiet. So mom's angry, dad's angry, our 3 grandparents are angry, extended family's angry, and Kay is my rock. But I can tell she's really angry about what she said towards Jack. I mean, at least you have the support system behind you. Right. Everyone is behind you and Kay and Jack.
That's good.
And that's like the thing to remember. Like, obviously what Steve and Sarah said and are doing is despicable, and it's sad to lose a person like your sister. But just know that like you have done nothing wrong.
Right.
And it's just them being bigots.
Yep.
I'm just sad and done with it all. At least now I know what she really thinks about Jack, Kay, and myself. So there's that. And you know what I think?
What do you think, Sophia?
I think you should listen to more episodes with stories like this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Just search up OK Storytime.
What a great idea.
I know. That's what I think.
just a thought.
Just a little thought. And there is a little bit left. But do you have any final thoughts?
I feel like, you kind of are taking the high road in a way.
You are. I mean, in no way have you like shouted at her.
Right.
Or like gotten physically aggressive with
right.
her.
Because taking the high road doesn't have to mean like tolerating it.
It doesn't mean letting someone walk all over you.
Exactly. Like you can still handle it in a very mature way. And I think that's like very high of you.
And I think that's what you've done.
Yeah. And so I think I commend you for that. Yeah. Good job.
It's about doing what's best for your family.
Right.
And Jack does not need these people around him. Because they suck.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit left.
Let's get on into it.
Nah, not the perfect update, but we move on. It will be nice this Christmas to have both sides of the family together for the first time and not have to worry about Steve being a wiener. But I'm sad that this is how my relationship with my sister has ended. I'm trying to get into the Christmas spirit, but it's a tough one right now. The only things that are making me smile are Kay and Jack being goofy idiots trying to cheer me up. However, the recorder can go to hell. I curse whoever invented the thing. Like, seriously, F you. That's funny. Thanks for all the support in my original post and opening my eyes to a few things. Maybe internet strangers are the way to go for advice after all. Hope you all have a good Christmas/holidays. And then one commenter says, I don't think the wienerish brother-in-law and Sarah saga have concluded. I'm glad you'll have a peaceful Christmas in theory. I just think the pair of them are not convinced yet that they're shut out. Opie says, it wouldn't surprise me if they try and turn up to my parents for Christmas, but we won't be there, so they won't get far. As long as they stay away from me, Kay and Jack, then I don't care what they do. Commenter says, may small children playing recorders with more enthusiasm than skill follow Steve everywhere. Follow Steve everywhere. Opie says, this just made me laugh a little too hard. Thanks for that. Pretty good. And that is the end of that story. Woo-hoo! It seems like tough. Yeah. Always tough losing a family member.
Right.
In any way, even if it means like cutting them off.
Right.
But it does seem like this was the right decision for everyone involved. And
handling it well, even though it's difficult.
Agreed.
And that's
that.
Amazing.
And that's amazing.
Yes.
Christmas spirit.
Yes.
But that is the end of that story.